It is our time to remember. And in a world which is increasingly turning to tribal politics, in a world where right-wing us versus them populism is growing at a frightening pace, in a world where we struggle for decency and goodwill, it is indeed time to remember. It was a cold morning. Rain, wind, and sleet battered the troops on April 9th, 1917. 4 divisions of the Canadian Expeditionary Force were fighting together for the first time. They stormed a ridge in northern France. It was a position others had tried but failed to take. It took 3 days of bloodshed before the brave Canadians could claim victory and seize Vimy Ridge. The cost was high. 3,598 Canadians were killed and 7,000 wounded. In World War I, the war to end all wars, 68,000 Canadians died. In World War II, 47,000 were killed. Hundreds more have perished on other far-off fields and places such as Korea and Afghanistan. These men and women were fighting for our way of life. They believed in democracy and a better future. Now today, the legacy and the sacrifice of our war dead and those in other countries is under threat. Political discourse has deteriorated when anyone who disagrees with anybody else is an enemy. Charges of fake news threaten a free press, and in the United States, the sitting president bullies journalists and calls them liars.
Are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter who busts his butt.
Well, I'm not a big fan of yours either. When you report fake news, when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people.
You called yourself a nationalist. Some people saw that as emboldening white nationalists. Now people are also saying
I don't know why you'd
that
say
the
that.
president.
It's such a racist question.
Some people.
And don't be so smug to think that Canada and Canadians cannot be affected by this growing venom. Now, the American midterms were a great victory for the Democrats, but I fear the situation will get bad. Trump is indeed going to war. But the elections also show that many Americans are just retreating into their entrenched positions. The support for Trump and his political chaos and hate remains high. American voters had no excuses this time, and my fear is that despite a Democratic House, things will indeed get worse and get worse quickly. In 1943, the United States government released a film designed to fight racism and fascism. I wonder if anyone thought that 75 years later, it would still be a struggle and getting worse.
Now, friends, I'm just an average American, but I'm an American, and some of the things I see in this country of ours make my blood boil. I see people with foreign accents making all the money. I see Negroes holding jobs that belong to me and you. Now I ask you, if we allow this thing to go on, what's going to become of us real Americans?
I've heard this kind of talk before, but I never expected to hear it in America.
So yes, we must remember. We must remember the blood that was shed for our freedom of speech, truth, democracy, and everything else we hold dear. In these times of uncertainty, here and everywhere, Remembrance Day, indeed, is more important than ever.
In Flanders fields, the poppies blow. Between the crosses, row on row that mark our place. And in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields.
I'm Barry Wilson. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to check out our weekly poll on Facebook. We want to know what you think.